What is the dumbest explanation you've heard from someone who cheated? We never have any fights, so you decide to cheat so I can get mad at you? My grandmother died. I didn't realize cheating on your girlfriend is the standard grieving method. If you had confidence in yourself, none of this would have happened. I didn't want to hurt you. Way to go, dude. I mean, how can you expect me to tell you the truth? People are raped and murdered every day. Really? When you said you wanted to be exclusive, I thought you meant exclusive here. You never even asked if I had a boyfriend. I had been dating this girl for 3 months in college when she admitted that she had been in a long-distance relationship with her boyfriend from high school the entire time, and she had slept with him each time she visited her parents, which was at least once a month. What things are normal but Redditors hate? Happy people. Anytime where you even have to remotely interact with another person. Being nice and polite to strangers before they're nice and polite to you is not only common courtesy. It may even benefit you in the long run. It's impossible to write a brief post without 10 people misinterpreting it. And you can't explain it in a long post because you'll be downvoted and no one will read it. Speaking on something you're quite well experienced in. I had talked about things that pertain to my career, industry, and have been downvoted for being correct and sharing my knowledge based on the post. Don't mind me. Only been doing it for 20 years. But I'm probably wrong. Healthy relationships not based solely on sex and obsession. Reddit. What is the worst cult you've heard of, and why? The Children of God cult. A pedophilic polyamorous Christian cult most prevalent in the 70s and 80s. One of the members brought up in the cult, made to perform sex acts with his mother's approval since the age of 3, killed himself at the age of 30. We have a place here called Gloriavale that just screams cult. Everyone has to wear blue. All clothing is the same. Apart from men and women. Things like TV shows and video games are not allowed and all that. Why the fuck would you want to live your life like that? Scientology. It's part cult, part MLM scam. They are flat-out criminals who require the one thing common to cults: shunning of family members who don't toe the line or who reject the faith. We're talking about ripping families apart. It's flat-out evil. And when it comes to dealing with people who question their practices, they use lawyers and private investigators to harass and intimidate people who speak out. Hell, they were so vicious in their harassment of IRS agents that were pursuing a case against their tax-exempt status that the IRS basically gave up. They are scum. And if you patronize the movies of the many Hollywood celebs who are members, you are supporting them. Tom Cruise is not just a blind follower. He is a major player. Don't see his movies. There is an award-winning documentary, Leah Remini, Scientology and the Aftermath, *. If you haven't seen it, you should. Jonestown. It was really messed up and tragic. Over 900 people died, including children. Breatharians aren't the worst necessarily, but pretty sick. They teach that you don't actually need food to survive and can subsist off light. They specifically target people with eating disorders. Several people have died. Iglesia Ni Cristo in the Philippines. They worship its founder Felix Manalo as God, and they vote whoever their leader tell them to vote. Straight guys, what has a woman done to flirt with you that you can never forget, in a good way? She motioned for me to listen to her whisper something, then instead she kissed me on the cheek. I was lying in a hammock and she climbed in with me and cuddled on my chest. I'm usually fairly oblivious to hints, but I did catch that one. Before my ex and I got together, she was a new member of our friend group. She always paid attention to what I said or what I ate. One day we were hanging out on a bench before our friends turned up. And she pulled out a backpack full of little things she knew I liked. Pop-Tarts, cherries, peanut M&Ms, etc. And told me she loved me. I had a thing for her too, but I had no idea she felt the same way, so I was kinda stunned and didn't say anything for a few seconds. Girl told me that she bought new underwear just to feel sexy for me. It's still etched into my brain a decade later. I dropped my phone at a bar and the girl sitting next to me said, "Oh no. I hope it isn't broken. I have to give you my number and I don't have a pen." It was incredibly clever and organic and all. Never forget it. A girl just winked at me once. I did the whole thing where I looked behind me and everything. Which historically famous person do you think would be most surprised to learn they are famous? Herman Melville. He had a few early successes with seafaring books. But Moby Dick was a total flop that got bad reviews. And he spent the final decades of his life working in the customs department. He would be shocked to hear he wrote the great American novel. Anne Frank. Vincent van Gogh. His paintings made billions of dollars for rich people. But couldn't trade a painting for a meal during his lifetime. Had to be supported by his brother. Kafka. Rarely published in his lifetime. And when he did, it was in obscure magazines which nobody read. Explicitly asked that his works be destroyed after his death. It's only because his executor disregarded his wishes and published his unfinished works, which comprise the majority of his oeuvre, that he is famous today. Gregor Mendel. The monk and scientist who experimented with pea plant traits to describe what we today literally call Mendelian inheritance. The significance of Mendel's findings, which he published in 1866, when almost completely unrecognized during his life and after his death. His work was only rediscovered in the early 1900s when modern ideas about inheritance and selection started taking hold. Lucy. https en.wikipedia.org/wiki/Lucy_ Australopithecus. WPROV equals SFTI1. Being known by more than 10 people would probably blow her mind. As would being known by the name Lucy. All of humanity has been wiped out. You are the last person on Earth. And the phone rings. Who is it? My roommate looking to borrow $20. He recorded it in advance. Automated telemarketer. Those rats survive anything. It's me from the future, explaining how I went back in time and caused this mess. The Canada Revenue Agency. Apparently my sin was used to commit a crime. My mom telling me I'm still not doing anything right even though everyone else is gone. Probably the dolphins, they've been hiding their technology until now. What things 90% of the human population hate? The other 10%. Stubbing their toe. Admittedly, that leaves a _lot_ of masochists. Roaches, those UV headlights that blind you unnecessarily loud vehicles. Wet socks. Ketchup pre-cum. Subscribe, my brothers.